Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today for this webinar from Grow My SME programme. I would first like to just let you know about how this webinar will roll out this morning. So thank you for attending. You have a bar or an admin bar on your screen that will allow you to post any questions. So if you can find the Q&A, then if you have any questions during the webinar, anything that crops up, anything that you would like to have clarified, then please let us know. And we will answer those questions at the end of the webinar, if that's okay. We will also, at the end of the webinar, host a little poll, which will be a very quick click poll for you, which will help us to continue to develop the webinar programme according to what you need. So just to let you know that this webinar is part of the Grow My SME webinar programme. It's funded by ERDF, which is European Regional Development Fund, really to help SMEs across the area of Humber. These are ICT for Growth webinars, and today's webinar is Creating Business Resilience Through E-Commerce. My name is Emily Whitehead, and I am one of the business coaches who are helping deliver this particular programme. If you would like to get more information about the kind of support that's available, including one-to-one support, then please visit the website at the bottom of this screen called growmysme.co.uk. You can also follow us on Twitter, Humber Growth, and on LinkedIn, Humber Business Growth Hub, to give you all the latest information about what's happening as part of this programme. There are, as I said, there is also further digital technology adoption support available, and during this time, this business support is available to SMEs, and you can find out more information at humbergrowthhub.co.uk. Okay, so I'm now going to jump into why using e-commerce is going to be useful to help your business become more resilient. As I've already said, I am one of the business coaches on the Grow My SME programme, and we're here really to help you find ways to evolve, develop and grow your business, especially during these particularly challenging times. And the reason that we are focusing on the resilience side of e-commerce is to give you the opportunity to develop your business so that it can really ride out the very specific challenges of 2020, but beyond that into 2021 and further on. Really, it's important to realise that although lockdown itself may have ended, even post-pandemic, the way that people shop, the way that people are buying products and services has possibly changed forever. And the evidence seems to show that the way in which people are buying online has altered. The psychology of the way that people are shopping has changed, and the way in which they want to access your products and services has also changed. So I thought I'd just start with a little bit of did you know, a little bit of facts to help you kind of really bed into this area of e-commerce. 32% of all retail sales in the UK is now online, which again seems fairly low, but if you imagine that the majority of those offline sales are still around food and supermarkets, then you can see that this is quite a large chunk of all retail sales. And this actually, in fact, was a new peak in May 2020. So those, and those were ONS figures. So that figure has jumped by about 10% just in this early part of 2020. So it's quite significant, and it doesn't look to roll back too significantly as people start getting out and about a bit more often. The UK is still the third largest e-commerce market in the world, reaching now well over 200 billion euros by the end of 2020. The market and the way that people shop in the UK is a very online market in general, and Amazon UK still is the biggest online retail in terms of value. 60% of sales is for clothes still, so people still are using e-commerce very specifically for clothes, but quite close second are things like electrical equipment and computing equipment, etc. Debit and credit cards are still the most popular payment method, but PayPal is a close second. So those two seem to be still the payment methods that are most favoured. The reason I'm giving you this information and sharing some of these stats is really to help you understand that e-commerce isn't something that some of us have had to jump onto in our businesses just because of lockdown, but actually part of a wider growth and a wider change in shopping habits or in buying habits. Some of these figures do focus on retail sales, but of course, some of you may well be providing B2B services, B2C services, and e-commerce can still be significant for all kinds of businesses, freelancers, retailers, those of you who are selling products as well as services. So I think it's important to recognise that although we have all been jolted into potentially pivoting or creating a more nimble business to try and stay strong, to continue to grow and to remain stable in our businesses, actually e-commerce is going to play a part for the foreseeable future. Now, it's really important to really go back to basics before really embarking on any change of operational changes within your business. If you're going to change your marketing in your business, it's always worth going back to some of the basics. And when I'm delivering training, I always bring in some element of these basics in your business. Some of you might feel like you have this nailed and that this isn't something that you feel like you need to recap. Some of you might feel that some of this information is slightly woolly or has changed dramatically in this first 6 months of 2020 or the last 6 months of 2020. And you might feel that actually it does need a revisit, but I would urge all of you to take a look and take time on this part of the webinar, because it will make a huge difference in the success of any e-commerce operations that you take on or continue to develop in your business. So the first thing is to talk about is brand. Quite often with SMEs, it's assumed that brand is something for big corporate businesses, something perhaps that you only need to have when your business is in a rapid growth phase. But actually brand is really important even for the very smallest of businesses out there, because it really is so much more than your logo. It's about the values in your business, the voice of your business, and the words and the keywords and the phrases that you use around your business. Really, it is the way in which your audience will connect with you. And in an e-commerce world, as we have already established, which is growing rapidly, it's a very noisy world, it's hugely competitive, and all your customers will be being bombarded in social media, by email marketing, and in other ways to encourage them to buy online. And they will be encouraged to buy everything from a pizza to, clothing, to electronics and to services. And so it's a question of how you as an SME break through that noise and really have some success in using e-commerce as part of your business. So if any of you are feeling unclear about your brand, it is really worth noting down what are the real values in your business. And those businesses and those brands that have the most success are the ones that have a very clear set of values that not only they have internally, but that they share externally with their customers and their stakeholders and their colleagues, because that value system will really help you set apart from your competition. It will help your customers understand why buying from you, online or offline, but buying from you online for the purposes of today's conversation is the way forward. Voice is also so important, because because you will be using a range of different online platforms. You've got a website, potentially you've got an app, you've got an e-commerce section to that. You then have potentially email marketing, your social media, perhaps you have a YouTube channel or a podcast even. Then that voice needs to be really consistent. And especially for those of you who have got different people within the business who might be operating those sections of your business, it's important that that voice is really consistent, because it will help not only brand recognition, but again, help your target audience really resonate with what you're trying to do in a business. Of course, vocabulary, words is also vital within any brand, not only from a consistency point of view, so that people are able to really clearly understand the focus of your business, but also from the point of view of your online web presence. So thinking about your search engine optimization, this is going to be even more vital as you move into using e-commerce or develop your e-commerce to find more success. So I would spend quite a lot of time really doing that research to find out exactly what it is that your customers need. We'll talk about that in a minute. And more importantly, what words they are using in your business sector. What are the keywords that they're using in Google searches when they're looking at reviews, etc. It's also important to really refocus on your target audience. I've already intimated at the beginning of this webinar that audiences have changed markedly in the last 6 months. Their needs have changed potentially, the way that they're shopping has changed, the way that they are purchasing goods and services has changed, but also the psychology of the way people are spending their money may well have changed too. I was listening to just the news this morning where the head of Pret-a-Manger was talking about the way that they are operating, and we'll talk about that a bit later, just in the coffee and snacks market near offices in central London, and how they're changing. They are noticing and how their audiences have changed, their buying habits have changed, their working lives have changed. So it's important not only to think about how your audience may have changed from a buying point of view, but also how their lives have changed. When we look at target audiences, traditionally we, in marketing and sales, we may have defined audience by, cars driven or newspapers read or supermarkets used. But in fact, really the way that we identify audience these days is to think about their common needs, desires, the things that they are challenged by and what those common challenges are. So the next point really is to define that customer need really clearly. All of you will have different customer sectors. So you may have a core customer base, your cash cow, the people that need to return to you regularly and that you feel confident about and that you feel you understand. Some of you might have a niche markets that you have maybe had to pivot to serve. Maybe some of you have had to find new niche markets that have emerged as a result of the last 6 months. And some of you might have customer bases that don't yet buy from you, but really you would like to get into that market, that you have maybe extended or evolved your operations to really serve those customers. So look at that customer need all the time, and really in e-commerce, having that customer need and challenge at the forefront of everything that you do will help you be more successful. Once you have created or defined rather that customer need more clearly, then it's very important to then evolve that definition into the full customer journey. So the customer journey is really harking back to those original challenges. What is it that your customer base is looking for? Do they need entertainment? Have they got a problem? Do they dream or have aspirations to buy particular products? Do they need your services, but they need them in a different way? Maybe they can't get out anymore in the same way. Maybe they don't want to. Think about how they then might get the information they need to find you. So is that reviews? Is that social media? Is it videos? Is it just organic Google searches, for example? Making sure that you're using those right words and that you are really embedding everything that you do in that journey. And then thinking about the journey you would like them to take in order to get to that cart, if you like, that to get to that press the buy now button, whether that is for a product or a service. So it's important to define that at the outset so that you are able to really drive that customer journey from the beginning, and also to develop your software, to develop your operations to be customer journey focused from the beginning. And actually, for any of you who are using e-commerce, but you may find that it's not giving you the results that you had hoped for, or that you're looking to grow or to increase sales, then think about that customer journey, backtrack and start from the beginning, and really see at which points or which touch points during that journey you are really driving that and holding the hands of your customers as they head towards that final destination and that sale. It's really important along that journey to identify stumbling blocks too. So any stumbling blocks or really barriers to purchase, which is really important. So traditionally we would look at things like price point, we would look at ease of use, but also now we need to consider the competition in your sector. We need to consider the psychology of shopping. You need to consider any barriers that people have about buying online in a new way. This might be a completely new experience for them, and how really you are supporting your customers to have the confidence to buy online, to give you that resilience in your business and the breadth of opportunity to create turnover. So I hope that first section has been useful. Again, if any of this brings about a question, do put it in the Q&A section, and towards the end of this webinar we can look at any of those and I can hopefully answer them as we speak. So why e-commerce? So some of you might be using e-commerce already, but I think it's still worth going through this. Some of you might be considering it, or may have had to quickly cobble together something in the interim, but that you would like to really strategize your e-commerce activity in the future. So it's growing faster than ever. We've already established that. We've also looked at how the figures have jumped during COVID, the COVID pandemic, and I think probably that won't roll back fully. So even for those of you who have got high street retail space, and your customers may be coming back, but they might be coming back a little bit slowly, I think it's really important to continue to have that e-commerce element. And we will talk about, you know, the importance of that moving forward. But if you imagine that you have a retail space on the high street, an independent shop, for example, and you have a social distancing challenge within that shop, so you can only allow certain numbers of customers to come in at any one time, so you're asking them to queue outside. Wouldn't it be great as we head into winter, for example, and it's raining, it's cold, they don't want to stand outside because they've got to rush off, they're getting cold and wet, then, you know, to have that e-commerce option, maybe as a poster or as a decal on your window to say, hey guys, I know you wanted to pop inside today, but if it's, you know, if you can't wait around today, please be confident that you can go home and buy. Traditionally, we have always seen, for example, that e-commerce is the enemy of the high street, but in fact, it could now be the opportunity that everybody's looking for, so that your customers have multiple chances to buy from you as a business as a whole. Over 70% of all e-commerce sales are predicted to be via a smartphone by 2023. So this really gives us an indication that people are continuing, regardless of a pandemic, but they are all continuing to be encouraged to buy online from a smartphone. And when we talk a little bit later about the marketing of your e-commerce operations, we look at stats like the response that people have when they get an email marketing promotion, or they get an offer, or they get an encouragement to buy. e-commerce sales jumped by 20% on mobile at the on receipt of those kinds of email marketing campaigns. So it's important to understand that people really do take action on their mobile phone. It really fulfills the customer need quickly. Again, I've already given you that scenario about a retail space. It could be a scenario where they're looking to access your services. If you're offering a B2B service, for example, it really fulfills the need quickly if they're able to contact you and have online meetings or access the information they need, rather than having to get into a car, onto a bus, onto a train to go and meet you. All that now seems quite laborious and may not actually be possible as people are choosing to live their life and have their working life in a different way. E-commerce is still relatively cheap and easy to operate. So traditionally, e-commerce was seen as a whole new huge chunk of investment required in a business to create bespoke, coded, expensive e-commerce platforms as part of your wider marketing operations, and that it's a very expensive thing to set up. Although e-commerce setup does take time, it does take preparation. Actually, with all the kinds of platforms, integrations and software available now, it is actually a pretty cheap and easy way to either increase sales or to diversify your income streams, or really to help develop and evolve your business. It really does provide, as it says, that flexible or additional turnover opportunity. It supports a nimble business model too. So for SMEs, quite often have the opportunity to be more nimble than some very large corporate businesses. You may not have the same overheads of office space or retail space. You may have that, but you've decided to scale that back in favor of something that's more e-commerce and more nimble. But it offers you the opportunity to really move with the market and move with what your customer desires and needs are. And all this creates that resilience in the face of lockdowns, pandemics, or recessions in the future. Not to be overly negative, but actually a business that is flexible, a business that offers multiple opportunities for a customer to access services and products and buy, not only creates good flexible income for themselves and keeps cash flow going, but it also really helps you be resilient and survive any bumps along the way. So I really wanted to start to dig into some of the ideas or the ways in which you can include e-commerce in your business. Obviously, I've got that click and collect picture, but that really isn't the first and last idea around e-commerce. Some of you might have more traditional businesses that you haven't felt previously lent itself to an e-commerce model. Some of you might have a much more straightforward e-commerce vision because you sell products and that's what you do, and you can do that online or offline. But in fact, there are so many different opportunities available to all kinds of businesses: B2B, B2C, traditional retail, business services, technology. There are lots of different ways in which you can create that online sales opportunity in your business. So obviously there is the click and collect model that has been hugely popular during lockdown. Those businesses that have got visitor economy businesses, they've got leisure facilities, or they have got retail space in the high street, have been able to quickly pivot to click and collect. And what is heartening is that a lot of POS software, so point of sale software packages, those platforms that you may already have used are now have developed very quickly to provide those click and collect models that you can quickly add on to your existing POS systems, your existing website system. So even at a very basic level, just being able to create a payment gateway, and we'll talk about payment gateways in a minute. But even for those of you who haven't even got kind of a fully functional online POS system or point of sale system, you will have the opportunity to create taking payments or using a payment gateway just on a very basic website to create that click and collect model. Of course, there are those opportunities to sell direct products and services. So again, for any of you who have an existing website, for example, hosted on WordPress or a similar CMS system that is robust and well recognized by Google, there is an opportunity to add that simple e-commerce facility onto your existing website. There isn't necessarily the need to fully set up a new e-commerce platform. You may need to, you may not have a website that is able to have a plugin like that. So if I give you an example of WordPress, WordPress is an open source platform. Many of you will use it, and there are hundreds of, if not thousands of plugins that you can use to facilitate e-commerce in your very specific area. So something like WooCommerce, which is a very commonly used plugin for WordPress, is ideal. And we're going to talk about integrations a little bit later and think about how that works for you. But something like that will quickly and easily set up a shop space on your website to sell products, create a cart, and it will have, depending on the way that you set up your WooCommerce, you can add in further plugins to be sector specific, for example. Wix, Squarespace, Shopify are other ways that you can use that selling direct of products and services. It's difficult when you're using an e-commerce platform like WooCommerce to think that you could sell services as well as products. But in fact, if you're selling packages, maybe you're selling a training pack, maybe you are selling, you know, a support manual for other businesses, maybe you're selling a mindfulness package for your customers, then actually using just a simple e-commerce piece of software or a plugin like WooCommerce can work in that way. It might be that you're developing your e-commerce to provide an online delivery. So tutorials, training, live events, networking opportunities might be vital to your business. And when we think about e-commerce, quite often we think that it is only about product. But in fact, if we look at the resilience in your business, it could be that you continue to sell your products and services in your traditional way, but actually you start to introduce e-commerce as a complementary addition or added value in your business. So where you may not have provided online training, for example, before, you may start to do that because it complements the other products or services that you sell. Again, this can be done easily now using Zoom. You can use Skype. There are lots of different opportunities to sell that through Eventbrite. You can Ticket Tailor, lots of different platforms, some of which really aren't using or taking too many fees. So think about how your business might be able to deliver online some services that will start to complement and add value to your traditional operations. It might be that your e-commerce is really just about building communities. And underneath I've suggested like membership models. So a lot of brands that are hugely successful trying to create community on social media, on, you know, in their fan base, maybe through their email marketing subscriptions, they're really trying to develop a fan base or a dedicated customer base that will always turn to you for the products and services that they need, or always turn to you to solve the challenges they have. So you could develop an e-commerce part to your business by monetizing that kind of community and developing maybe a membership model so that people are able to pay monthly or weekly or annually to be part of your community and get exclusive content or added value content. so that you can start to create better resilience in your business, because it sorts out cash flow, it creates commitment in your relationship with your customers, and it may increase turnover, but also help you develop your products and services as your business grows. So membership models work very well, and there are lots of different kind of platforms that can do that all in one. So you can pay to be on platforms that create an all-in-one membership system, or you could very simply add it on to your existing website, and use models like Go Cardless is a software platform that takes direct debit payments, for example. There are obviously other ways to create subscriptions. I want to move on to ongoing payments, which is really kind of related to membership models in some way. But again, what about a subscription service? So I've already mentioned Pret a Manger, who were in the news this morning. Other businesses have done it the same, where they have set up a coffee subscription. So for their business clients who are working in city centres or now working from home in suburbs, are able to hop onto a subscription service. It gives them a slightly preferential offer on the price of their coffee, but it also means that they're able to use an app, use their phone to quickly click and have coffees delivered, so that they are able to maintain that feeling of being able to enjoy a kind of barista coffee while working from home or working in a different way. And I think it's important to start to think about using ongoing payments as part of your your e-commerce, as well as one-off payments, because this could really build in some proper resilience into your business, improve cash flow, but allow your products and services to be broken down, maybe into a subscription service or into a monthly service, etc. Even if you think about subscription services like beauty boxes, makeup boxes, online business services that are delivered either online or through the post regularly, really does provide resilience in a business. It could be that you have started to, or you might think about creating additional merchandise around your business. So again, if you're not selling products, but maybe you're selling services, maybe now is an opportunity to branch out and create bespoke merchandise that supports the kinds of services that you're offering. So for example, there are quite a lot of freelancers out there who are offering B2B services, who are now developing very specific training packs or diaries or business planning packs that they are able to sell as branded merchandise or branded products that are complementary to their services. There are quite a lot of businesses who are able to now offer live events. So if you are a retail space, for example, maybe you have been part of a market or an artisan market, or you've sold artisan products to this point and that's been a challenge, then you could develop a live event around that. So it could be live tasting, food tasting, beer tasting. It could be a live showcasing of products, or a tour of your space for those people who can't get to you. And even if you're open, and even if people are visiting you, in order to create resilience and growth in your business and access new customer bases, then it's worth considering these ways of taking online money and creating online sales for customers that don't yet know you, or feel that they can't access you, or want to access your products and services in a new way. You could think about things like ebook selling. So again, for those of you who are selling your expertise and your experience, creating something that people can access online and quickly. Again, thinking about those stats around buying from mobiles, it's really important to think about how you can get that information across while monetizing the products and the information that you share. It's also worth thinking about affiliate selling and affiliate marketing too. So it could be that actually your e-commerce part of your business isn't about your selling necessarily, but the kinds of things that you previously have recommended to clients or customers. So for example, if you are selling products that you think would work well with a service business, then approaching them and creating some kind of affiliate selling through their platform or through yours could be hugely beneficial to your business and create additional resilience that you didn't have before. If you're offering services and you think that there are additional products, then it's worth looking at. There are platforms out there that help you set up this affiliate selling so that you could create, or you could make a private arrangement where there is a kickback for you or for your partner, a partner business that you're working with. And this kind of connection and community around SMEs, especially maybe around a geographical area where there might be a city centre partnership that creates affiliate selling. So for example, if office workers from one particular office might be able to access both office equipment as well as coffees at an affiliate selling, or in a collaborative deal, that means that everybody gets a little bit of a slice of that e-commerce business while supporting each other. And don't forget, if we think about the customer need here, if we think about the customer journey, this is really thinking ahead about what your customers may need and creating resilience. And of course, if you're able to look at the future and predict what your customers might need looking forward, and you're able to be ahead of that game and be nimble and flexible, of course, that gives your business strength too. So we've already talked quite extensively about the need to focus on the customer experience and focusing on the problem. So when we think about the way in which your customers' lives have changed in the last 6 months, and we look at that in the context of a growing e-commerce trend within all business, then it's really important you as a business focus on the problem that your customers have in order to create clear customer experiences. So when we think about e-commerce, it isn't just about, creating pounds into the bank. Obviously that is your bottom line, but it's really about how that customer experience is created. Because don't forget, a lot of your customers may not be used to buying online from you. It might be the first time that they've considered buying in your sector online. They may traditionally have always bought offline. They might have new problems that they are, struggling to find a solution to. So it's really important to make sure that your business is fitting into that and positioning yourself to be the solution that they are looking for. So it's really important to identify key areas with online benefits in your business. What are the areas of your business that you currently don't sell online that you could take online to, even if that works side by side with offline sales, but really helps your customers have the choice and have more choice as part of their access to your business, and really about improving that customer journey. So if we start then at focusing on the problem, list down in your business what the main problems are for your customer base. You've already defined your customers. We did that at the basics at the beginning. And think about the challenges or the barriers that they have, either to come and visit you or to have meetings with you or to come to your place. Maybe you have previously run events that, physical events that now need to go online. Or think about if your customer base has previously worked in offices, but now working from home, for example. Think about what their direct problems are and how your business can create new solutions. It's important then to think about how that fits into a wider customer journey. For many of you, you may not be deciding to move over to e-commerce fully, and that this e-commerce part of your business will work in tandem with your offline business. And this will give you that flexibility to move more of your work online and less offline if we have further lockdowns, or a recession means that you have to pivot what you're doing to really give that opportunity to get turnover in, to really give that opportunity to your customers to buy from you. Okay, so how are we going to really focus on e-commerce and really take your business online? We've already talked about putting the customer first and thinking about what works best for them. If you have an established website that's there, you probably don't want to be spending large amounts of money on a brand new e-commerce website now. So the first suggestion that I would make is that you upgrade your existing website to include an e-commerce section to it, and consider how you can access your customers, or how you can provide an area on your website that really gives them the opportunity to buy online. So really not changing that high quality service that your customer is looking for. It's important to think about e-commerce and analyse the fees and finances. So let's get that right too. So all the platforms that you can use will have fees associated with them. WooCommerce, for example, will charge a small fee, and then you will have your payment gateway on top. So if we look into payment gateways and fees, it's important to work out which ones are going to be most cost effective for you. If you have an existing payment gateway, it's worth making sure that you are able to use that gateway with whatever e-commerce platform that you decide to choose. So for example, when we look at our integrations, you can think about which platforms integrate with your existing software and your existing payment gateways. So if you, for example, decide to use something like WooCommerce for your WordPress website, you decide to add that in, WooCommerce works very well with a range of different payment gateways. So when we talk about a payment gateway, that is Stripe, Square, WorldPay. There are a whole range of different payment gateways that you might be using. If we think back to that data that I talked about at the beginning, then we noted that credit and debit cards are still the most popular way of paying. PayPal comes second, but a very close second. People still trust PayPal, but it's worth noting that the fees can be quite high. And if that's in addition to the fees for the e-commerce platform that you've decided to use, then that might not work so well. So it's important to think about how those integrate across your different platforms. It's also important to think about the other parts of your finances, like your accounting systems. So again, for example, a lot of these software platforms will work with your existing accounting platform. So if you wanted to use, I'm using WooCommerce as an example again, if you wanted to use WooCommerce as your part of your WordPress website, then you have Square as your payment gateway, or Stripe, and then how that integrates with maybe Xero. So if you are using something like an accounting software for Xero, then how that works all together. I also talked earlier in the webinar about the difference between one-off payments. So you know, somebody comes onto your website, they buy a product or service and they move away and pay. Then those subscription services and how that integrates too. So for example, you might decide to use something like Go Cardless, which provides the opportunity to take not only one-off payments, but regular direct debit payments without you having to be the financial controller of that. So Go Cardless, for example, works very well with the accounting package Xero. So that allows you to connect those two pieces of software and create invoices that are not only emailed automatically out to your customers, but also fits directly into your Xero accounting. The fees are already taken off, so you're able to, from a bookkeeping point of view, be able to get all those bits of finance in order straight away. Products like Go Cardless as well allow you to change the way that you take a subscription. So for example, you can do monthly, you can create discounts, you can create payment holidays for your customers. Again, if we think about putting the customer first, when we think about this kind of the finer detail of this e-commerce, then if you have a subscription or a membership service and your customers are struggling financially, you can facilitate things like a payment holiday for a short period of time without losing the customer altogether. And this again adds resilience in your business, allows you to maintain that customer relationship without fear of losing that customer altogether and then having to re-find them. So it's allowing your business to be as flexible and as nimble as possible. If you're going to use something like Eventbrite, Ticket Tailor is another one. There are lots of different ticketing platforms out there. Again, look at the way that they take fees and look at the way they might integrate with your wider platforms or softwares that you use, whether that's accounting software, whether it's email marketing software, or whether it's the CMS system that you're using specifically. So for example, if you are using MailChimp for email marketing, we'll talk about marketing ideas and incentives in a minute. You might decide to use a customer management system like Zapier that then links into your ticket sales for Eventbrite. So it's worth checking out how you can streamline, because not only is this easy for your business, it makes your business more resilient. It takes a lot of man hours out of your e-commerce activities and operations, but it also means that you are streamlining the experience for your customers too, because you're able to make sure that you are staying in touch with them, that their products or services are delivered seamlessly, that they don't have to make different payments to different places, and there are no additional fees to your customers that look difficult or confusing. There are different options too to create other ways of upgrading your e-commerce. So for example, it might be just that you sell gift vouchers or gift certificates. So gift certificates became very popular during lockdown because for those businesses who simply couldn't sell a product or service, at least they were able to create some income by selling gift certificates for the future. Again, there are platforms and softwares out there that allow you to do this quickly and easily. So you might be able to use platforms like GiftUp, which integrate with some of your existing website platforms and e-commerce platforms. GiftUp can integrate with your payment gateway easily too, and also allow you to create a quick and instant mobile friendly way of buying a gift certificate for your business. And you're able to edit and adapt that so that it looks on brand using your branding and words, etc. This is a great opportunity for those of you who feel that your business is still going to be mainly offline, but you want to provide that opportunity to create income and also solve the problem for customers. I have worked, for example, with a range of small visitor attractions as they were closed during lockdown, and actually creating gift certificate opportunities very quickly in those businesses has allowed them to continue to create some income, but also secure visitor footfall for the future. And as well as keeping their customers loyal and their visitors loyal and in touch, because they, of course, once they've bought a certificate, they're invested in that business and want to come back. So it's really worth looking at that as a way of really maintaining that customer relationship too. It isn't just about cash through the door. Then think too about using things like Facebook and Instagram. So we haven't particularly talked about your social media activities or wider marketing, but it does come into your integrations. So for any of you who are thinking of or are selling products, then think about using a platform that will easily integrate with things like Facebook shops or shoppable posts on Instagram. So for example, if you decide to use e-commerce platforms like Shopify, Shopify will automatically integrate with a Facebook shop to help you find the customers that you need in your business. Once you're able to set up a Facebook shop, then you are able to then, with your linked Instagram account, create shoppable, not so easy to say, shoppable posts on your Instagram. So you will know, for those of you who use Instagram, that you're not able to have a link or URL link in the comments, and actually the click-through rate from Instagram is traditionally very low in terms of getting your customers to move to a website to buy. So actually making your post shoppable, so those little shopping baskets that appear on your Instagram posts, is created by linking through your e-commerce platform on Facebook through to your Instagram. And this really, again, helps drive that customer journey that you are trying to establish and get your customers to take an action on social media. It is worth stating here the difference really between selling on social media and selling on your own platform at this point. So if we think about our business in terms of assets and tools, really, when you are setting up your e-commerce platform, whether you do a subscription service, memberships, whether you're creating live events, whether you're selling directly products to your customers, it's important to think of that as an asset in your business. It is something that is yours, controlled by you, owned by you. They're your products and services, and you have a direct relationship with your customers. But if you're selling online via social media, it's worth noting that by using shoppable posts and using a Facebook shop, although gives you access to a huge number of customers and gives you lots of operational services that really support that, so Facebook advertising, Facebook targeting, accessing different customer bases through social media, it is worth noting that much of what is on social media isn't owned by you. So it's worth thinking about that customer journey from your point of view, making sure that visitors or fans on your social media are buying from you and have the convenience of buying from social media, but that you're still trying to drive them to become an asset in your business. So what I mean by that is, if you've created a shoppable post on your Instagram, for example, that's great. But how are you going to cement that customer relationship to last for the long term? Because algorithms on social media are notoriously fickle, and it might be that your customers don't get to see you again, or they might not notice you again. So it's important, as part of selling that product and service, how you are going to deepen that relationship for the future to get repeat sales. If you're not using a subscription service or a membership service and you've decided to opt for one-off sales, then think about how you then integrate, for example, email marketing. So if a customer buys a product from you, whether that's on Instagram or Facebook, or even on your website as a one-off, how do you then make them a repeat customer? And again, this creating repeat customers will build resilience in your business. It might be then that you decide to get them to subscribe so that they then have exclusive access to future purchases. This doesn't mean that you always have to be in discount mode in your business, but it might be that they just get exclusive early access to products and services. So if you are able to use your email marketing list like a club, or like an exclusive place, or a gang, or a VIP area, then you can encourage your customers, even if they've only bought from you once, to hop into that VIP area with the promise that they will get to hear about new products, new services, 24 hours ahead of your social media fans, for example. Maybe they only get exclusive content, so you offer a generic service or product on your e-commerce platform, but actually those who then come into your subscriber service get additional services or products or access to exclusive content or exclusive products. And this really starts, instead of you having to just chase the next sale on e-commerce, which is a model, you know, you can spend a lot of money on advertising, on Google ads to try and drive sales and looking for fresh sales all the time. Why not integrate with your other marketing platforms to create incentives, ideas, and strengthen customer relations, so that you know, the old adage, I think, you know, it costs 3 times as much to find a new customer than it does to service or provide products and services to an existing customer. And so it's important to think about keeping those customers as online customers. Think too about those offline customers and how you can invite them into that system too. So I've already mentioned how e-commerce was traditionally seen as the enemy of the high street, for example. But actually, how could you, if you have a premises or a high street retail space, how can you encourage your customers to not visit your shop because you want footfall and you want that community and you want that atmosphere in your place, but how you can use e-commerce to complement what they do. So for example, we are seeing lots of retail businesses offering additional discounts or additional services to those businesses that sign up or subscribe to an email marketing list. Only yesterday, I was in a supermarket doing a weekly shop, and over the tannoy, they were encouraging me to hop onto a brand new app that then would give me additional discounts at the till. So this was something new in the supermarket to try and develop loyalty. Obviously, in that retail space, you're very rarely, apart from online shopping and online deliveries, they are then trying to include their offline customers, me, in the supermarket, not choosing to have my supermarket shop delivered. They're then trying to include me in that e-commerce and that subscriber list. They're trying to deepen that relationship with me. So it gives me the opportunity then to use those discounts both in store and out of store, but using my online or my mobile app. And again, this is a change from traditional vouchers that you might have been sent through. So if you think about like Tesco rewards, you know, you get a voucher through and then you take your voucher to the till. Suddenly that's moved on one so that you can now click onto an app And this is accessible to SMEs now. So it gives you the opportunity to deepen that relationship. So when we think, and we've already touched on this now, when we think about how you're going to market your e-commerce activities, it's really important to do that by taking your customers along the journey so that they understand how they are going to receive the same products and the same high level of service from you, but in a new way. And for some of you, it might be an educational process in your marketing. For some of you, you might need to really hold the hand of your customers so that they understand this new process and way of accessing your business. For some of you, you might need to very clearly explain that you're very much open to business offline. So your retail space, for example, your office space is still very much available. It might be a really important part of your business operations, but that they can also access your business in an e-commerce way. So think about video for a start off. Many of us have seen exceptional videos of businesses showing customers how they can now access a business in a new way, both offline and online. Video has something like 92% of all adults in the UK have visited a video sharing platform in the last year. Video is absolutely king or queen of the marketing world and isn't looking to change in the future. So think about using little virtual tours of your online services. You could maybe do a screen share of how somebody hops onto your website and how they get to choose to buy online from you in a new way. You might like to take them through the process. So if they're able to buy gift vouchers or have products sent straight to somebody else's house instead of, if you're selling gifts, for example, and we're now in a pandemic situation, people might not be, your customer base might not be leaving their home in the same way, then you can gift wrap that gift and send it to the recipient. Then show them that process as part of maybe a little video screen share and share that on social media. Maybe you can do a launch promotion on social media. So again, getting people to maybe sign up to an email subscriber list, but getting an initial 20% discount on those products and services. So really giving them an incentive to hop onto your e-commerce platform for the first time and give them an exceptional experience. Maybe you can create a review or a recommendation system within your e-commerce. So for all of those people who are buying from you now, are you able to give those customers a kickback for introducing your business services or products to their friends or colleagues? So this, again, within many of those e-commerce platforms can be easily set up so that you can create a system where they are able to share a code with a friend and their friends then start to buy from you. And this can be quite easily set up. You can also integrate your email marketing platforms directly with your e-commerce platform. So again, if you're using something like MailChimp, look at the integrations available on MailChimp to allow you to do that. For paid services on MailChimp, you can also integrate it so that you are able to email out to those abandoned carts, as they're called. So those people who have put products and services into a cart and then they haven't actually gone through with payment. Your customers, again, you need to, without being aggressive or bossy, you also need to give your customers maximum opportunity to buy from you and to remind them that they had products and services in their basket on your website and they didn't buy. So again, there are now facilities, also MailerLite does this and allows you to, using your MailChimp, for example, to notice when a customer hasn't completed payment and hasn't left your e-commerce site with a product or a service, but they've left it in their basket, to give them an email prompt to say, hey, you know, we noticed, did you still want to buy that pair of shoes? Did you still want to buy that training package? Did you still want to buy those tickets? Whatever it is that they were going to use. So using those kinds of integrations and marketing opportunities is really important for the success of any e-commerce activities that you are embarking on or developing or evolving in your business. Then think too about the way that your website is laid out, so that for those of you who are integrating e-commerce with offline sales, so that make sure there is a very clear customer journey for your customers so that they understand that they can do both. For those of you who have still got retail space, how are you going to encourage them to use online as well as revisiting you? So again, you could think about integrating your marketing activities with giving back or donating. So right at the beginning of this webinar, I talked about having a clear set of values as part of your brand and a clear purpose about what you're doing. So for example, I've seen local coffee shops and cafes giving back to food banks, for example, or having a pay it forward system, so that you are able to use an app or you're able to use a pay it forward to provide a coffee or to provide a meal for those who are less fortunate. Again, building in that kind of gift aid or donation system into your e-commerce can have huge marketing benefits and help increase loyalty to from your customers and deepen the relationship you have with your customers. You could, for those of you who have set up membership, decide to go for a more subscriber or membership model for your e-commerce. Again, you can create a kickback to a charity. So there are organizations like Work for Good that will facilitate every time somebody makes a payment on your platform, there is a small donation automatically given to your favorite charity. This really is not just a cynical marketing ploy, but actually deeply embeds a value system and a brand for your customers, so that they will more likely come back to you to make their purchases in the future because of the additional values and the additional donations or community give back that you are integrating into your business. So that can be hugely valuable. Don't forget too that there are software platforms that will do all this all together. So I've talked about creating integrations with your existing software to make life simple. So I've talked about integrating with your Xero and your MailChimp and your WooCommerce or your Shopify with your Facebook to make shoppable posts on Instagram. But there are platforms out there that you will need to pay for that will do everything for you, depending on the kind of model that you're looking to adopt or develop. So look at platforms like Kajabi, which is Kajabi, which has an integrated membership and online selling platform, which integrates with email marketing, empty cart or abandoned cart operations, etc., and has it all in one. There are products like Keep by Infusionsoft, which again will integrate all these different activities for you, and it will help filter out your customers. So customers might land on your website, and depending on what activities they take, they might jump straight onto your email marketing before they buy from you, and then you are able to create automated prompting emails that go out to try and encourage them to come back to the website and buy. For those of you who are selling things that people might only buy once a year, so if you're selling holidays, for example, or you're selling products that people, electronics that people might not need to buy every week, then how do you keep that relationship so that they can either pay monthly and you can break down payments, or you can encourage them with add-ons and additional support information. Maybe they can pay for training packages to go along with their products that they've bought. So there are lots of different integrated services that are available to you too. So here are some examples that I've already mentioned, but I wanted to just list for you as we come towards the end of this webinar. Shopify is an all-in-one, very popular e-commerce platform, ideal for those of you who are selling products or services that are packaged and can be sent out. So Shopify works very well, as I've already mentioned, with Facebook shops, and is very easy to integrate with your Instagram shoppable posts, for example. WooCommerce is a very popular and common plugin, e-commerce plugin that can be added to any of your WordPress websites. Again, this will give a seamless process or customer journey for your customers, that you're not taking them to a separate platform. Wix is, again, for any of you who haven't got a website at all, for some of you who've just had a very old website that needs upgrading, Wix is a very cost-effective way of creating a website that also has an e-commerce element to it. Magento, OpenCart, again, are low-fee options for e-commerce. And I've already talked about Keep by Infusionsoft and Kajabi there. So look at the way that these platforms take fees, integrate with your payment gateway, integrate with your wider marketing opportunities, and also integrate with other platforms that you might like to use, like Facebook. So I want to bring together all the e-commerce information that I've talked about. And we've kind of covered a lot, and a lot of what I've talked about has been around ideas, inspiration, hopefully e-commerce models that you may not have thought of, or that you can develop and build into your current operations. And I guess some of these things we could dig into and spend hours and hours looking at in more detail. But let's bring this all together to make sure that you have, if for those of you who've already got an e-commerce platform that you might like to revisit and sharpen the different areas and parts of the process to improve sales. And for those of you who are yet to jump onto e-commerce, how you can create real resilience in your business to ride out the pandemic, recessions, but also to really be ahead of the game in terms of the general consumer market, which is growing in terms of e-commerce and online sales. So we talked about defining your brand and your customer sectors. But those of you who even are super confident in your brand and customer sectors, I think it's really worth looking at your Google Analytics, existing Google Analytics, looking at your Facebook Insights to see how people are behaving in your sector and how your customers are behaving. Have a look at what your competitors are doing and see what your sector is doing and how your customers are behaving in your area. Identify key customer needs and bottlenecks. So if you have a high street retail space, for example, how is that operating in your town or your city? Are there town centre schemes that you can jump onto? Are there customer loyalty programs that you could develop with your neighbours? Do your customers need an online service because your retail space is very small? Are there problems with accessing your products and services because of social distancing, which is obviously very prevalent now, that will prevent people from being able to access you as regularly as they would like? So think about how you can develop atmosphere, how you can develop sales to kind of mitigate those bottlenecks in your business. Identify potential business operation disruption as well. So it's really important to stay ahead of the game. Imagine life in a lockdown again, although many people feel that we won't ever go back to a full lockdown, there are very small and quick local lockdowns happening, and that might make people feel suddenly more cautious. How have you set up your e-commerce now to mitigate that operational disruption in the future? So imagine worst case scenarios in order that your business can quickly pivot and be nimble to continue providing products and services in a suitable way. Focus on complementary e-commerce too. So this isn't about, closing your shop down or your office space down and only going online, although for some of you that might be a really great way to provide resilience and survive in your business and really grow your business in a new way. But for those of you who don't want to lose that kind of physical space or that physical face-to-face interaction with your customers, think about the additional e-commerce, complementary e-commerce parts of your business that you could create. Merchandising, subscription services, memberships, exclusive online content that they can only get if they buy from you online. Keep the customer journey central at all points. So whatever you are proposing or evolving or developing in your business operations, think about that customer journey so that it doesn't start to become disjointed, confusing, or difficult. If you're introducing new ways of buying from you, then make sure that you have marketed it clearly, that you have shown a video, that you have stood in front of the camera and explained to your customers what the process is, that you have interviewed a customer online so that they are able to share their great experience of your new system. Make sure that your customer doesn't become confused. Keep it simple and integrate. So keep it simple for your customer so that they are not having to move away too often from your website, for example. So if they do move to Eventbrite to buy tickets, that's completely acceptable. Customers are used to doing that, but make sure everything is branded and simple from their point of view, but also make sure that it's simple and integrated from your point of view to reduce man hours, to reduce the amount of fees and expenses that you might incur in setup, and also to make sure you can focus more strongly on marketing. And that's my last point really, is to market. It's important to create incentives, to gain good reviews, build reputation, create affiliates, or to encourage customers to share discount codes or launch codes with their friends to really gain confidence in your customer base, and to make sure that your e-commerce is linked with all your other marketing activities, email marketing, etc. And make sure, excuse me, I've got a frog, to make sure that your e-commerce really does give you the resilience, the income, the turnover, and the growth that you're looking for in your business. So thank you so much for listening. I hope that you have added questions. We'll look at that in just one moment. And we'll also in a moment launch some polls. If you wouldn't mind taking just a couple of minutes to click on those polls, that will give us invaluable feedback about the type of webinars that you're looking for and the kinds of things that you need further help with. But just to let you know that there are weekly ICT for Growth webinars available. So there are some webinars coming up, but again, you can look at the Grow My SME platform to find even more. So coming up, we've got Understanding Big Data, Data Analytics for SMEs. We've got the benefits of remote working for any of you who are managing a team who are working remotely. 14th of September, there's using digital technology to make your business stand out from the crowd, and also navigating virtual, augmented and mixed reality for your business too. So look out, that's just a sample of some immediate new ones that are coming up. There is further business support available to you through Grow My SME. So you can register your business with Grow My SME website. It's the Inquire Now button, and to become eligible for kind of a full suite of business support that's available. I'm part of that as part of a wider coaching team. So there's access to business grants and investment advisors. There's also some one-to-one business growth advisory sessions available. There's some one-to-one expert mentoring sessions. So for any of you who've had ideas from today's webinar, for example, and you would like to dig deeper and get some real one-to-one support through that process to develop this e-commerce side of your business or any other areas of your operations. And there is also supply chain network, digital catalyst, business scale up support programs available too. So please do visit that website, growmysme.co.uk, for further information about this program. Also, just to talk about the expert one-to-one support for your business, this really does have a process which starts with a digital benchmarking tool, which is a really useful process to go through with a coach to just see where you can develop your business, help your business grow, and also to get support in areas that are challenging for you. You can then move to get some expert support, maybe adopt a particular project or work through a digital sprint program. And then finally, you can create an action plan. There might be some further guidance available to you or some technology provider selection so that you can get the support and help that you need. In a nutshell, Digital Catalyst offers you bespoke one-to-one support for your business from expert technology specialists. Our approach is thought-provoking and challenging. There's energy, enthusiasm, and a way of different thinking. So I think what I've hoped from today's webinar and any of the other interactions you've had with this program is that there is lots of opportunity to develop ideas and become innovative in your business and find creative solutions to your challenges. And also, obviously, there might be some further support around grants. Don't be afraid to contact us and find out how you can get the support that your business needs and hand-holding to get you started. Are we there with any questions and answers at the moment?
No questions, Emily.
No questions.
Catherine
Okay.
just asked whether I could send the slides out, so I'll be sending the slides out to everyone after the webinar this afternoon.
Okay, lovely. So and the polls are there just as we speak?
Yes, all the polls are done, so we're good.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for listening today, everyone. And I hope it's been useful. And do get in touch if you would like further information or support.
Brilliant. Thank you, Emily. Thanks, everyone. Catherine's just said thank you, Emily.
Thank you, Catherine.
Okay, bye, everyone.